We're good. Thank you, Amber. All right. Welcome, everybody. We'll call this meeting to order for the Middleton City Council on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. It is 5:32 p.m. and we'll start with a roll call, please, Amber.
Council President Kaiser.
Here.
Councilmember Huggins.
Here.
Councilmember Murray.
Here.
Councilmember O'Hara.
Here.
All right, stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Jim Taylor's consented to give us an invocation.
As in God's grace, shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings you've bestowed upon this country, our state, and this town. We ask that you watch over and bless this council with wisdom and justice, protecting those who serve us, our police, fire, EMTs, and especially our young people in the military. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim. All right. Action item number 1 is to approve the agenda as printed.
I move we approve the agenda printed February 10th, posted at 5 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is unanimous. Have a few information items. Sawtooth Lake Drive, Middleton Road Roundabout Project. Jason Van Gilder.
Mayor, council members, Jason Van Gilder, your Public Works Director, here to give you an update on our Sawtooth Roundabout project. I sent them the official notice to proceed on that project today, and we should look for them to be breaking ground around March 15th. We waited until things dried out and got a little warmer before we could go out there and make a mess and rain comes. So that's on schedule, and we're looking forward, moving that to where people could see some things happening. That's an exciting point. And related to that, we have put together a brochure, which hopefully you have seen or was in your packets, to let some of our residents know what to expect out there. This, I believe, is going in our utility mailer and will be available at City Hall, and will be kind of distributed as widely as we can. The point of this is to let folks know what's happening, and also let them know that Sawtooth Drive, where it currently runs into our Middleton Road, will be oftentimes, not the whole time, but for most of it, closed to traffic, so we'll need to divert folks up to Crane Creek. There will be a temporary bypass out into what is the field west of where the roundabout is being constructed. That is actually staked right now. If you went out there and saw a whole bunch of lath pounded in the ground, that's generally the route we're going to reroute traffic onto. And that will free up the area in the intersection for them to be doing lots of construction over the summer. We're excited about that. Again, the key things we're asking for with this is patience, caution, and just to slow down while we've got construction workers happening there. And then be patient with us, as traffic's gonna get a little worse before it gets hopefully a lot better. So, be glad to stand for any questions.
You know, some people have a hard enough time with the four-way roundabout. This five-way has got me a little worried we're gonna end up with Clark Griswold just going in circles out there.
Look, kids, Big Ben, right? Big Ben.
Think we can put up just a small Big Ben there, just so you and I can laugh?
Will do. Yes, one leg will be closed to at the start. That'll be the straightened Middleton leg.
Yeah.
So we'll work them in slowly into us, 3 legs to start with maybe, and then 4 as that development builds out to the east, and then 5, hopefully soon after as we straighten.
You're just gonna confuse people, you keep adding them. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it very much. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Ms. Wendy Miles.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is found on our website under Departments, Finance, and it's the report for the first quarter of this fiscal year. So we should be at 25%. This is kind of small. I don't know if we can I make this bigger? Let's see, up here. Does that help those in the audience? It does. So at this point, the city has not received its property tax first tranche of revenue. So we look at the general fund, and the revenue received so far is $691,738, and the expenses are $972,463. That's a $280,000, $287.24 that we've spent more than what we've received so far. In transportation, our revenues received is $510,399, and our expenses is $550,592, which is a $40,193 shortfall, expenditures over revenue. Library fund, they've received $10,734 and have spent $68,211. And that's $57,477 over. Library receives the majority of their funds through our property tax dollars. And so this is very typical. So since this report's done, we have received those funding, and they're on a positive note. Everybody is. So moving down to the enterprise funds, we have the garbage fund. The receipts as of the first quarter was $198,660, and the expenses was $176,987. So that's a positive $21,673. For the water fund, we have revenues of $324,312 and expenses of $206,782. These are broke up by personnel, operation and maintenance, and capital. So if anybody's interested in how those break down, they are on there for you. I'm just at the high level. We're just gonna. This is the boring part, right? For some people, I love it. For the wastewater, we have revenues of $770,965 and expenditures of $720,486. That's positive $50,479. Stormwater is $18,891 in revenues received and $6,979 in expenses, and that's positive $11,913. Any questions?
On the water and sewer, with all the income put together, and then comparing it to the budget has everything. It has connection fees and the utility fees. Are our monthly utility collections on target?
No, they are not. Only in the sense of our connection fees. So we're below, so right now at this point we should be at 25%. We're 25% into
Of our
right?
monthly, when we bill people monthly?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so those connection fees are shy. So I looked at those today. We're in mid-February, so we're 4.5 into the budget year, so we should be at about 38%. And in our sewer, in our water, our revenue's only at 11.7% to date. And that's just in hookup. So the reason these are short here is because these pull in by building permits. And so if building permits aren't being pulled, and they're not paying these connection fees or hookup fees, then the revenue doesn't come in as we expect. And at this point, it's not in. And in the sewer fund, it's at 12.27% received.
And those are connection fees.
These are the connection fees. On the actual collections, we're on target.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the monthly one that we count on for O&M is on
It
target.
is on target,
The
yes.
connection fees that we use for bigger projects and such are down.
Right, that's correct. Any other questions? Okay, so before I end, and I'm gonna stop talking money as far as the budget goes, but it came to my attention that some of the council members were interested in wanting to know what our internal controls are. Something about some embezzlement happened in another city, and so, first of all, we are audited every year, and so that, as part of the audit, that is what they're looking at, is what is our internal controls, how are we handling everything? But I'd love to go over that with you guys this evening, real quick. So first of all, our accounts payable, invoices come in, they are collected and daily into an AP folder electronically, as well as a paper folder. Unfortunately, we're not paperless yet. And that on Mondays following council meetings, the AP folder comes to my desk. At that point, I go through all of those invoices and code them. And then, and I go to the department heads for approvals. Now, a lot of, we've already got it set up that engineering invoices and such go to Jason to approve. Roberta, P&Z is approving the engineering invoices to make sure that everything looks right to what their projects they have going on. After the department heads have looked at it and coded, then the payables are handed back to our clerk, and she enters them into our software system. Then once they're entered into the software system, reports are generated, and they're reviewing those reports to make sure they entered them right. It comes back to my desk. I'm making sure that based on those reports that the coding is correct, and then I process the checks. Once the checks are processed, they go into the safe. The checks registers are uploaded into your guys' tablets here for you to review. President Kaiser comes into City Hall and he reviews all of the invoices as well and the checks, and he signs the registers. Once you've approved accounts payable here tonight, tomorrow morning they go onto the mayor's desk for signature. I sign them, then they go out into the mail. So that's how our internal processes are for accounts payable. For bank reconciliations, I pull the bank statements down at the beginning of every month from the website, from the different banks. I reconcile those. I try to get those all reconciled by the 10th. That's making sure that the interest is put into all of the proper accounts, properly accounted for. And then after the reconciliations are done, they go to the mayor and he reviews all the bank statements and he signs them. And then they come back and wait for the auditors at the end of the year. Any new bank accounts, so if we wanted to set up new bank accounts, then those are done. We reached out to the bank. I've set up 3 for our impact fees, and all 3 of us are on it. So the mayor is a signer on the account, the city administrator, and myself. And so bank accounts are not set up without all 3 of those people recognizing that a new bank account has been set up. Then for payroll, timesheets are completed by hourly employees, and they are submitted to their supervisors. The supervisor signs their timesheets, and then they get turned into my office on Monday of the week of payroll. I then go through and I check them to make sure that they are accurate and that they are compliant with our employee handbook. If there's any changes made, then the supervisor is notified of a change that was made. Then payroll gets processed, and by Wednesday we want to upload it as an ACH to the bank. Before that happens, a detailed ledger is printed out, and Becky reviews that. Our city administrator, sorry, I shouldn't use names. Our city administrator reviews that payroll, and then approves it to upload it to the bank for ACH. Any live payroll checks are given to the mayor for a signature, and any transmittal checks. So that's going to our benefits, or our transmittal checks, or taxes. So those are all reviewed by the mayor as well. And then, any employee changes. So we have an employee, okay, never mind, just went blank. What do I call that form? It's our employee change form. That's easy. So there's an employee change form, and that can be anything from a new hire, a full-time employee go into a part-time position, a part-time employee go into a full-time position, or a pay increase. Those are filled out, and they have to be signed by the supervisor who's requesting it, by the city administrator, and then by the mayor, and then those come to me. And that's the only, and those will be, nothing like that happens until those forms are filled out. That's everything. Any questions?
Sounds pretty thorough to me.
Council, I can tell you when you go over the bills, the big folder I get, it's not uncommon to see multiple. So she's tracking multiple accounts across one purchase, for example, the new trucks. Well, a piece of that's water, a piece of that's sewer, a piece of that's parts, because they're gonna all use them. And so when you get to the bill, it'll come down and you look across the top where she's tracking her percentages to pull out of each additional fund. So there's a lot of time put into it. June was nice enough to give me a cheat sheet, so all you remember all the account numbers and who's which. So, any other questions of Wendy?
Maybe just one comment, Mr. Chairman, is that Jason, is he still here? No, he slipped out. Not very long ago, they pointed out to me that last year we estimated, I believe it was 200 building permits to be issued. This year they cut it in half, knowing that it's going to be a lot less. We budgeted, I think, 100.
And 70, I think is what we did.
Was it that high?
Yeah.
Okay. And so far, we've got, last year to this date was about 65. This year to this date, 25. We're down 60% or more from our projected. So when Wendy talks about revenue being down a little bit because of those building permits, this isn't highly unusual. If we have very much of an issue, we'll certainly bring it to the city council. Wendy's already put out the call, watch your spending, every department. We're not reaching our building permits like we thought. So she is, I would give her an atta girl. She's very, very good at watching and handling our budget, our public budget tax dollars. So nice job, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to information item number 3, report on number of presentation workshops that were conducted on the issue of R3. Roberta?
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, let me pull it up here really quickly. So there was a question at last council meeting about whether we have ever addressed an issue that's raised repeatedly by Mr. Grafe about R3 zoning and whether it should be applied as gross or net. And we currently apply it as gross, but net is, the argument is that you remove, once you remove all the streets and other features where something, a building can't be built, then you would calculate your 3 homes per acre based upon whatever's left over. So we have addressed it directly at least twice, but we've talked about it numerous times in public comment. The first time was December 15th, 2021. There's a snapshot of the amended agenda from that meeting, and it was a workshop. Discussion about revisions to Middleton City Code regarding density and or size of single-family home lots. And then we dealt with this PowerPoint slide, and we showed how gross works versus how net works. Then we addressed it a second time in more detail. It was zoning concepts. You can see it under workshop up there. And that was on March 16, 2022. And we covered all kinds of zoning concepts where the city could decide what kind of city are we, what are we trying to go for. And I devoted numerous pages to looking at R3 gross density and talking about net versus gross. And then I went through all the subdivisions that we had approved in 2020, late 2020 and 2021, and showed how actually R3 gross, the density typically turns out to be around 2.6 or less, the larger the subdivisions got. And so we went through every single subdivision, spent quite a bit of time on that. So, and then of course we've talked about it many times through public comments with Mr. Grape and others. So, but we've had 2 agendized workshops on this very issue in the last year. And that was my research project for the week.
Thank you, Roberta. Any questions for Roberta? Okay, let's move on to action items. Action item number 1, consent agenda. Consider approving minutes for City Council January 18. Consider ratifying payroll through February 10. Consider approving accounts payable through February 3.
Council, question, accounts payable, there's some big ones in there. Heartland Lane, the 2 trucks came out, which, to be honest with you, we could buy 2 trucks, about 2 trucks for $62,000. We could buy 1 truck for $62,000. I'd be happy right now in this market. So the 2 trucks that we ordered 2 years ago, that came out, and then this is that time month for public service, which is a bigger one. So had some big ticket items in there this year, which gives us a little bit bigger run than we had 2 weeks ago.
Council President Kaiser?
Councilwoman Huggins.
I would just like to, if you could say which, I knew that they were big projects, I just couldn't remember which project was which. The Challenger companies went.
What's the number?
62,700. 61 is either water or sewer, I don't remember.
I can't remember exactly which one, but yes, Challenger is the, they're handling the Hartley.
Okay, and then the other big one, 100 and some, and I'm, again, just trying to, oh no, Hawkeye Builders for 327?
That's Hartley, so.
That's Hartley, so those are both?
Yes.
Okay, just touching on which projects the big amounts went to.
And that's just to get us to where we're at. I saw the sheet within there, and I cannot remember the exact numbers on percentage completion, but it's over $1 million project. So this is getting the power there. The underground work that they've done, I saw some drills out there, those type of things. That's what we paid for up to this date.
That was it, just wanted to touch on the projects.
All right, then I move we approve consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you, council. We'll move to action item number 2, consider approving an agreement with Republic Services to set a fixed 3.5% index. Rochelle Klein is here to present for Republic. Good evening, Rochelle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me, Rochelle Klein. 11101 West Executive Drive in Boise. And generally I come before you guys this time of year just to review what's gone on the past year and check in. And this year, if we stuck to the regular CPI, it would be a little over 8%. And I think I sent that to, I don't know if Wendy left, but to Wendy, and I think she was nervous about that. But what we're proposing is just to keep the annual price increase to a fixed 3.5%. We don't know where inflation is going, but we've done a good job. We have meetings every week, managers meetings, and we talk about controlling costs. And we, like you guys, we're feeling it. And so what we've done this year is brought forward, in addition to the 3.5% fixed, we also are proposing variable rates. So that means treating trash like a utility, adding in some medium-sized and small-sized carts. And the actual monthly rate would be based on the size of the trash cart that the customer has. Instead of having one size for everybody and it's a flat rate, offering a medium and a small size cart. And that would help, immediately reduce rates for people who are mindful of, cutting back on costs. Recycling is unlimited, so they can have a big recycling cart and a small trash cart and still pay the small fee. I think that you have the proposed rates in your packets. Another change that we're proposing is rolling back rates for additional carts. So for us, right now, Middleton is structured that you can put a cart out and then extra waste outside the cart. For us, it's better to keep the driver in a truck. So for us, you'll see, actually, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but I have sheets that show the rollback of additional carts. So, and it's on the proposed rate sheet, but the actual savings year over year, if you guys want to see that, we're proposing that as well. And then also just fall leaf collection. So in the past, we've had a lot of requests in the fall for fall leaves to be collected and actually composted. And so during the month of November. And so that's an additional just add. And we've worked closely with Wendy. I don't know if Wendy's still here either. So all the people we work with closely have left, but we work really closely with Wendy's team to make sure that where our routes match what's being billed. So we audit our routes and we go back through and make sure that for places where we're providing service, the city's billing that and getting the necessary administrative fee on top of that. So, and then same store, we have permanent donations, monthly recurring donations at the fire department, library, city hall, Piccadilly Park, the RV dump station, civic center, roadside park, trolley station, and then just some of the more seasonal temporary services we provide. Our 4th of July celebration sponsor, just support for that. And then like the car show, we participate in these small like city events that our employees really appreciate. And then with Jason Van Glider, he left, but we do work closely with his team too on public works projects. Generally 3 or 4 times a year, he'll come and ask us for support to donate containers on different public works projects. So we do our best to support his projects. And then over the last couple of years, Jeremy, our operations manager here, I think he comes, so you guys probably see him regularly, but this is Jeremy, he's the ops manager for Middleton. He's done a really good job upsizing containers here in Middleton, so we have trucks touching businesses here less frequently. So instead of a 3-yard, twice a week, we'll put a 6-yard container in once a week. And businesses appreciate that. It's more affordable, it's safer to have trucks on site less frequently, and so he's done a really good job with that. And we really don't get complaints for trash out here. Jeremy does a really good job taking care of that. And Bob Bennett is our general manager. He comes out here too pretty regularly to check in. And just other things would remain the same. Like we have historically always provided the city with the CNG tax credit. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we run renewable natural gas here in all of our trucks in Middleton. So those trucks are fueled by 2 dairies in the Magic Valley, dairy digesters. And so for running an alternatively fueled fleet, we get a tax credit back from the federal government, which is the 50-cent diesel equivalent. And since we feel like the city's already paid for fuel in the rate, we break it out by community and we rebate that back to each city. So this year, you guys all remember seeing it, but this year, I think, I should know this off the top of my head, but it was $6,661. So that's been in effect for probably 7 years now, and as long as it's made it through it started with the Obama administration, went through Trump administration, and we anticipate it sticking through the Biden administration as well. So we don't know if it comes year to year, but for this year, it's back again. And we're always looking at ways to partner with you guys to contain costs and manage rates and support the high school and the schools and the library and things like that. So anyway, our proposal is to fix the PI for 5 years at 3.5% and add some senior and veteran discounts and some variable card rates. Are there any questions? It's probably a lot in a short period of time. Sure.
Would you consider 3
years?
3%?
3%? That would be a general manager question, because our costs are like yours, right? So we're subject to that 8%. Let me have Bob answer that.
Yeah. So Bob Bennett, General Manager, 11101 West Executive Drive, Boise. We'll consider anything. I mean, we really want this to be tailored to you, but as you guys can appreciate, right now, the reason that original proposal had 8% in it is our costs are shooting through the roof on everything. Right now, we're at 22% on parts, 30% on tires. Wages is something, as you guys know, everybody's been dealing with labor shortages. We're gonna have given our employees, hourly employees, close to a 20% increase over the course of 3 years. So what we've kind of taken is our job is how do we maintain our cost structure best as we can while still keeping up with business realities that they're not going away. I wish they were, trust me. So we would consider it. Probably wouldn't make that decision, right here. But I will tell you that I do think this is a really good offer at 3.5. And what we're doing as a company, there were years where our CPI was less than 1%, and we all benefited and loved that. And then we got as high as 9.17%. We're looking at the long term and saying, hey, if we could offer you a flat 3.5, which is about where that average is, and stay there forever, it's gonna all work out in the end. Some years you're gonna be up, some years we're gonna be up, but it's a good partnership. So that's where that 3.5 number comes in there. So thank you for the question.
We can get back to you on that, and we can see. That's a good question. I mean, I think that's a fair one. Any other questions that are easier?
I don't have any questions. I think perhaps I've watched too many Shark Tank episodes. But I want to tell you guys, you do a great job. And examples, just a few weeks ago, you provided a container for our, I'll call it the alien house.
Oh, yes. I saw that, and I didn't know.
Yeah, you guys provided we dismantled a house on a lot.
Is that 310 Murphy?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. I saw we donated a container there. I didn't know what that. I
You
didn't know
guys
it was
stepped
alien.
up and helped us, and your community involvement, not only in our community, but others, is very recognizable. So we, don't want to be too rough on you without giving you some attaboys too. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. We appreciate the partnership here in Middleton.
Well, look at it and get back to us.
Okay.
And, well, if you're going to approve 3.5, we don't. They've got to consider if they'll accept 3.
We table it, can I go 3.2, 3.5? Range. Can I make it a range?
I think that you could put a range. Are you saying like logistically, if you were to prove it tonight, is that your question?
Yeah, 3.2.
We could adjust it, yeah, with direction of what the actual agreement is now. I don't know. It would be up
motion to not exceed 3.5.
Okay.
And considered for 3, and we'll go from there.
Before you go, no, keep doing, discuss.
No, I think we've gotten it.
What size carts do we have now?
95 gallon.
So everybody right now is, would be at the proposed 1985. But, okay. And it has not been a choice in the past, is my recollection, to go
Unless,
smaller.
if people would, we would send out information letting them know that smaller carts were an option, and then they could adjust their rate based on that. So, but right now, there's just one rate available, so we're proposing offering 3 rates and then adding a veteran discount with a senior discount.
Okay. Because, I mean, it's not huge dollars, but it's nice that people do have an option.
Yes.
Just to kind of cost a little bit.
And they can couple like a small container with the senior or veteran discount. And so, for example,
Oh, okay.
right, so it would actually be, so you can use both, like, I'm a veteran and a senior, but you can say, so, for example, right now it'd be 1985, but if you're, a veteran or senior with a 48-gallon cart, it would drop down to $10.69.
Which is
So that's
not
our
quite
course.
50%, but close.
Yeah, and the
45.
city then adds, this is our reimbursement rate, the city adds $1.75 for administrative fees like postage and paper and
Okay.
envelopes and, software and all that. So it'd be $10.69 plus $1.75. But at least it gives people the ability to treat it like a utility. So you can control your rate a lot more. Yeah.
Have you discussed with the county the possibility of putting in a transfer station on this side of the county?
Yes.
Because I've been negative.
Yes, we have, and do you want to speak to that? That's been a priority of ours for a long time. So we have worked with the county. I'll let Bob answer that.
Councilman, thank you for the question. That's a huge deal right now. With the traffic, Jeremy's taking every truck all the way down to Pickles Butte, which, as you can imagine right now, is a heavy lift. So we're working on a couple options. Some of them are private, some of them are public. Most likely, we're probably going to fall somewhere in between, but that is one of my top 5 projects for this year, is figuring out how we're going to do that, because this traffic is not going to get any easier. And I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting up the road here, probably 6 months ago, where somebody from ITD came in and this poor girl got smoked because of the traffic. And we know it's a big deal. So I am absolutely working on that, but I do have to be somewhat confidential with some of the parties that are working on it right now.
Is there anything that we can do to help with that?
I would love to have that conversation. I think one of the biggest challenges, which is one of the biggest benefits here in Canyon County, is if our disposal rate at the landfill was $40 a ton, this becomes a really easy decision. We pay $14.50. So when you build a transfer station, you have to add in the cost of that transfer station, the cost of labor, the cost of trucking, because you're still sending trucks down there. The way that pencils is that 3 of Jeremy's trucks equals 1 transload truck. And if that math doesn't work out, the transfer station doesn't make sense.
So we're working really hard to make that work because it's definitely a priority of ours, and it has been for at least the last 3 years we've been working on it.
And we're looking at the next so many years. So, even though some of the construction starts have went down in Canyon County, they're not stopping. In the last 3 years, we've seen historic growth here. People are going to keep moving here as long as it's a great place to live. So we're trying to look at what does the next 5 years look like, 10 years look like, and transfer stations on that list.
And there is a new compost facility that's going in right by the sugar beet factory, so like the fall leaves that we're talking about would go into that, they'd be run just like basically halfway to Pickles Butte, then they'd be composted there. So, and the city could get some of that compost back for use here. But we are looking at ways to manage that for sure.
Any other questions for Rochelle? Thank you very much, Rochelle.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, then I move we Approve an agreement with Department of Services to set a fixed 3.5, not to exceed a 3.5% price index for 5 years. Accept adjusted rates for residential trash cards and discounted rates for veterans and seniors, and setting an effective date of April 1st of 2023. So I'm gonna say, basically in the motion, I'm saying, we're not gonna go above ever this 3.5 in this motion. Up to, meaning if they can do it for a little bit cheaper, then they'll go back, do their numbers. Then we can go that way. So that's the crux of the motion.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. I have a quick legal question for council. If we enter a 5-year agreement, does that break our, I know there's code and ordinance and law that says you don't commit to more than 2 years, I believe, a city. Is there any kind of, are we beginning to touch on that, or?
Mayor and council, that doesn't necessarily apply with this. This is just with the PI, so it's just with the price index. So you will probably be re-agreeing every year, or I don't know the specific contractor agreement, but it's not agreeing to this service for an extended period of time. It's agreeing to essentially the price index for an extended period of time. Did I fairly
Yes,
describe
and Mayor,
that?
I can answer that too. There,
We do come back up?
Yeah.
And,
Thank you for the question, Mayor. So cities can enter longer agreements for waste contracts, and there's a finding that cities make, and when I say it's in the health and it's in the best interest and health of the community for solid waste. You can enter longer term agreements.
Okay,
Yeah.
it seems like I remember that.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all.
Motion in a second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. Let's roll call this.
Council President Kaiser.
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins.
Yes.
Councilmember Murray.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Yes.
That is unanimous. Thank you very much to the public, again, for all you do for us.
Thank you. We'll get back to you soon with once we can show our
Action item number 3, consider approving final plat for Carlton Meadows. Ms. Stewart.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So we'll just start with the vicinity. This is Carlton Meadows subdivision, phase number 1, south of Highway 44 on Whiffen. It's literally just behind City Hall here, and it's just east of Forge International. You can see it sandwiched between Hartley and Whiffen. So the plat is zoned R4. It contains 24 single-family residences and 3 common lots on 7.4 acres. The plat meets all dimensions and standards for the R4 zone and the subdivision ordinance. All work and construction has been completed except for landscape and irrigation, and they bonded at 200% for a total of $421,061. Other fees were required and have been paid. City engineer Amy Woodruff has confirmed compliance with the code and has recommended approval of the project.
Thank you, Roberta. Any questions for Roberta on this final plat?
Mayor Roll,
Councilman Huggins.
I'm just curious, what is the minimum lot size for an R4 subdivision? Do you have to have?
7,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many are quite a bit bigger.
Council, any further questions? Looks to me that 7 of the lots, 7 of the 27 lots are actually the R4 sizing, the rest will be R3 and greater.
Kaiser, second by Huggins. Roll call.
Council President Kaiser.
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins.
Yes.
Councilmember Murray.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Yes.
That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll get that signed. Item number 4 is to consider Republic Storage Appeal Design Review Permit for new mini storage buildings. Ms. Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, the applicant representative is here tonight, but the applicant and also city planner are requesting that this be, it doesn't necessarily need to be continued because there's no notice tied to it, but if we could take this up possibly on March 1st instead. And the reason is that we are discussing a possible, we're negotiating a possible DA mod or solution here to where they won't need to appeal. And we're giving ourselves a couple weeks to work out some bugs.
Sounds like a good option to me, Roberta. Appreciate that. Council, comments or questions for Roberta?
Roberta, March 1st, pretty sure, or should we say a future date to be determined?
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be tabled because there's no notice or legal requirements in that regard. I can put it on any agenda.
It's a scheduling issue for you.
It's a scheduling issue. We can, without, you don't even need to continue it. I could just put it on any agenda that I want. I'm shooting for, I mean, they are the ones that would push it in 2 weeks if they are not happy with our
So
negotiations.
to answer your question, future date works.
Yeah, future date works. Short answer.
Short answer, yes, thank you. And this would be the DA that we discussed when I came in yesterday, the one that's in our packet,
There is a DA out there, yes.
the one that
For-
was in our packet.
It's in your packet, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm sure hoping that they want to negotiate, we don't have to travel down that other road. So, I hope to take advantage of this time. Council questions? All right, then I move we table the Republic Storage Appeal Design Review Permit for the 4 new mini storage buildings to a future date.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by Huggins. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is unanimous. Thank you, Republic.
Thank you very much.
Would you get the public comment sign-in sheet, please? That's the last agendized item. We'll move to public comments. Okay, I don't have anyone signed in for public comments. There was a couple latecomers. Would either of you young ladies need to address city council tonight?
No.
Okay. Council comments?
Mayor Rule?
Councilman Huggins?
So I just wanted to let council know that I'm the one that asked Wendy to go over the internal controls. I just think it's a good review process. Probably every year, we're constantly reading in the newspaper, and you think, how did these things happen, and are we protected? And for her to go over our protections is valuable. And so I think that's what I'm doing. Oh, I'm going to most likely be on the first council meeting in May.
Okay, thanks for that heads up. Okay, we'll make a note to that effect. Let's see, the only comment I had was on the building permits, down about 60+%. Any other council comments? This is awesome. We're going to conclude city council at 6:22 p.m. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Wow. Things are